31st, 2015 Committee of the Whole meeting. Number 2, approval of agenda. Anybody care to move the approve the agenda? Any additions? Having heard none, so moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Negative? Right. Carried. Conflict of interest declarations. Anybody around the table have a conflict of interest with any of the items? Having heard none, we'll move on to number 3, which is presentation. The Yarmouth and Acadian Shores Tourism Association. Neil MacKenzie. Neil, you have the floor. I think your mic is on. Yep.
Testing 1 2.
Maybe we can turn some lights off for viewing purposes, since the first picture is a nice one. Jonathan?
Yes. I am going to pull at all the stops tonight to try to, butter you guys up. I was just telling Jonathan I almost had to bring my kids, and I'm always yelling at my kids to put their iPads away, like many parents probably have done before in the past. But tonight I was thinking, I'll just get the iPads and I'll just put them in the hallway, and then they'll be quiet. It won't make a sound. But anyway, they didn't have to show up, so so I guess we're all lucky. But I don't have to choose my words. So thanks for letting me present tonight, everybody. Great to see everyone. I know pretty much everybody here. Those that I don't, I apologize. I will make myself more aware and be around a lot more so that we can get to know each other a little better. My name is Neil MacKenzie, and I'm the General Manager for Yarmouth and Acadian Shores. And again, it is a coincidence that Jonathan's here, and he's also on the cover. As you kind of go through this presentation, which is going to be kind of a high-level, broad presentation of what YAS is doing, some of our successes, and some of the things we plan on doing in the future, you'll notice a bit of a theme with Jonathan and actually Argyle. Again, another coincidence. So, YASTA, Yarmouth and Acadian Shores Tourism Association. I'm just going to reiterate a little bit really quickly on what Yarmouth and Acadian Shores Tourism Association is. So Yarmouth and Acadian Shores Tourism Association represents the region, Yarmouth and Acadian Shores, which is a provincial designation, provincial region of the province of Nova Scotia. We break the province up into tourism regions to try to make it easier for the visitor to say, okay, these are the type of experiences I can have in Halifax or Cape Breton, or in our case, Yarmouth and Acadian Shores, so I can experience things like Acadian culture, obviously, access to nature, uncrowded access to nature, beaches, experiences that are very much connected to the nature and the place itself. So, but as you may not realize, Yarmouth and Acadian Shores is a not-for-profit society, and our 4 partners are each municipal unit. So Argyle, yourself, that's why I'm here tonight. The other 2 municipal partners within the county of Yarmouth, and most recently, MPLAC. So I like to blame Mr. Jeff Gushu for that acronym, but it is sticking, and you can give him a little nudge on the side next time he hears it. He won't find it so funny. But it stands for the Marketing Promotions Levy Advisory Committee. So what is that? Well, they're a new partner that came on. One of the things that YASA needed to do last year was to ensure that we had more industry support, more representation on our board that represented industry. One of the things that we did was we had been partnering with MPLAC in the past over group sales, but they wanted to take much more of a in-depth role on our board of directors. They wanted to become full partners, so we revised our bylaws, and we enabled them to do that, and in turn they became full financial partners, with the same funding model as each municipal partner. So we lost a partner in Clare, which I don't really want to talk about tonight, but I certainly will if anyone has any questions about it. That's something that's ongoing, and we're still trying to fix that problem. But we gained a partner, so I guess we were even Steven for the first year of that. So our mandate is to lead tourism development through product development and marketing. What exactly does that mean? Product development, marketing. I know marketing is a term that's thrown around a lot and can have a really broad meaning. We try to break it down into kind of a trinity, or at least 4 kind of roles. And I'm going to break those down for you right now. Product development is created in 2 ways. YASTA can create product for the visitors, or we can support product development through the private sector. Again, sorry for the picture there, Calvin, but this is one of our examples of some of our partnerships that we have with the province. One of the biggest costs for Yasta, or a large cost for Yasta, sorry, is photography, and high quality photography, as some of you may know. And the province usually hires professional photographers each year to go around the province and shoot experiences and attractions that, really well lit. And Living Wharves is one of the top 25 experiences on novascotia.com. So we've got a lot of hay out of this image. So. And this is an example of product development that Yasta manages. Yasta manages Living Wharves, which is a product that tells the story of seafood from, right from fishermen such as Calvin and other interpreters who tell the story to visitors and tell the story behind the seafood. So it's a really good program that we manage. It's growing. Last year we had most we've ever had. And this year we have an application before the province to try to expand this and make this project more sustainable. But this is an example of product that can be experienced by the visitor that Yasta manages. And if there's any questions at any time, just pop right in. So you don't need to be too formal here. So Music by the Sea, or Musique de la Baie. This is a program that, again, is managed in our office. This program ensures that there's live entertainment 7 days a week during the tourism season. When visitors are here, they have an expectation that when they come to the region, they're going to expect live local entertainment. It's something that was seen as a needed project, and it's something that we're really proud that we can keep managing and keep doing. It does employ local artists, and the restaurants are very, very happy with it.
Neil, do you do Claire too? I know Claire's not a partner, but they do music in the restaurants and stuff like that. This is what you mean by that, don't you? Music
no,
in the restaurants and that stuff?
Yes, we do. We don't, that's a great question. We don't manage the components in Claire anymore. Musique de la Baie kind of came out of Claire when it was first started, and then it was taken over by Yasta and managed by Yasta. And then now with Claire leaving, we've taken the side that we've put an investment in it, energy, money. We're going to continue on doing it. It may change somewhat of what it looks and feels like, but it's still going to be a project. The result is going to be live entertainment for the visitor. Some of the things we're playing around with is storytelling. I can't remember his name, but during the Experience Argyle, he told that story about his...
Laura Dontimo?
Yeah, he told the story about his aunt. That was great. So that's not really live music, but it's still super entertaining, and something like that, or live music and other things, because one of the things we're finding is it's difficult to get authentic Acadian entertainers all the time. We can get them here and there, but it's a real challenge, and what the visitor really is expecting, they want that, but if they can't get that, they'll also be quite happy with either a local connection or some other form of entertainment too, as long as it's live entertainment. So we're trying to expand that program, and Living Wharves and Musique de la Baie, again, is a project that we have before the province right now, asking for some funding to try to expand that and make that more sustainable. So I'm pulling out all the stops tonight. Industry product development.
He's
Again,
not here.
This is another picture that the province. So one of the things, just to talk about photography one more time for a quick second. One of the things that the province did when they invested in the photography, they give all the operators like us access to the photos at free of charge. The ones that they purchase, they'll extend that license to us, and then we can use that. So this is one of the photos that they've given to us. So it tells a story. We're probably going to use it in our visitor guide or other things. So, because, for example, Scott Munn, a photo from him could be as much as $300 to $500 just for one photo for a 2-year license. So it can be really valuable to partner with the province on photography. So. So the second way that Yasta supports product development is through industry product development. And what we do, and again, last year was a banner year because of the Southwest Nova Tourism Task Team funding that was basically a cash influx for experience providers could apply to this fund, and they could have matching funds, and they could basically either grow their experience or create a new one. And so last year there was a lot that came into the market because of the Novastar and because of that influx of cash, which was really good. And one of them was Lucien's
Island Tour.
Tuscan Island Tours, yes.
Yeah.
I had a, yes, thank you. And he did a lot of work on board the Novastar. A lot of people did. I know, Calvin, you worked a lot on Novastar, working those angles with the AAA reps, and it was a good year for anyone that was offering new experiences, because everyone that was coming on the ship, those were the first things they were asking. What's there to do? What's there to see? And we were there to answer their questions and say, well, there's this. You can go on a sea kayaking tour. You can go on Living Wars experience. You can experience Musique de la Baie, et cetera, et cetera. So we still continue to need product. It's still one of our biggest things we need to grow. We need to have more things to do. I don't think we're ever going to get to the point of being an entertainment center like Halifax or anything like that, and nor do we want to be, but you know, we still need more product. We need the market to continue to develop. So what we do when those things happen is, of course, we do co-op advertising for operators. We either purchase advertising and then try to resell that advertising to operators in the region for less. We market them for free on our Facebook channels or our social media channels or on our website. We help with partnering with the ferries by getting interpreters. I know we had a great experience with the Le Village this year, having interpreters go on board, Novastar and the Bay Ferries vessel, and we're going to intend to do that this year again. The Bay Ferries vessel, there's a good schedule for that. It's only a 2-hour crossing now, but we don't know the name of it, so I guess it's yet to be named, but maybe we can name it Yarmouth and Acadian Shores or something. I don't know. So again, great year for marketing, for product development. So product development, we've kind of covered that a little bit, and again, I'm going really fast because I know you're going to be really busy tonight. But the other thing that we do is marketing activities. Hatfield House is another attraction, another experience in itself that Argyle's been blessed with, and we've got a lot of miles out of that experience as well. And I know that Laura was on board a lot, doing a lot of work to promote that as well, and I think it paid off. So we already talked about marketing partnerships a little bit, but again, some of those things that are really important is co-op advertising, experiences on board, AAA rep experiences, FAM tours, trade show partnerships with the Nova Scotia Tourism Agency or the Bay of Fundy Sea Kayaking Symposium. For example, I just went to Toronto for the Ontario Adventure Show. We were in the Paddler's Paradise, and we were partnering with Bay of Fundy Sea Kayak Symposium, which they gave a couple talks on the area on the Tuscan Islands and the great experience it is to kayak in Nova Scotia and obviously this area of the country. So he was in line. You know, he would do his talk, Chris Locklear, and then right after him, someone would be talking about how to kayak in Alaska. You know, there was actually a couple superheroes in my opinion that kayaked from Russia through the Aleutians to Alaska on 2 kayaks. So I was blown away by it. So anyway, one of the things that I learned at that trade show was that Nova Scotia in general is a place that people who are into sea kayaking, this is one of the places that they're kind of their bucket list. They need to come. They'll say, oh, I've been to Alaska and I haven't been to Nova Scotia yet, but I got to do Nova Scotia. And then some will say like the Mediterranean. So Nova Scotia is seen as a place that you have to go at least once if you're going to do a huge sea kayaking experience. And I think we're, as you all know, well positioned for that. So huge opportunity there. Marketing online, pretty obvious, but some of the things that we do is strategic. Some of the things that we do, as much as we can, again, is based on measurables. One of the great things about being online and marketing online is the measurable. You can see an increase in traffic. You can see where that traffic's coming. You can market and target your audience. So especially with Facebook ads or search engine optimization, you can kind of take what traffic's coming and figure out, you know, who to target. We've increased our Facebook likes this year. We had about 1,000 when we started, and we have about 6,000 now. And we know that those likes are from the market that we're targeting, from the Northeast U.S. That's positive. We'd like to turn that into 30,000, 50,000 eventually. But we don't want to just have likes that are just from, you know, Eastern Europe, for example, unless they're interested in traveling here. We want the right likes from the right region. So there's ways to do that, but it does take time. So. One of the biggest traffic, we just had our site analyzed because we're going through this branding project. One of the biggest traffic sources is for actually recipes for rapi pie, which is pretty funny. So we're going to actually keep that recipe on our new website. So we have quite a lot of traffic specific to that page.
You know, it was
kind of interesting.
Competition in the States the other day.
Did they?
Massachusetts area.
For rapi pie?
Yeah, they had, oh yeah. Huh. Dion's in Pubnico sold I don't know how many packages of that the mix.
Yeah.
Yeah. They can't sell their rapi pie over there. They could, Every day they got calls for that stuff.
So yeah, I wasn't. We were going through the meeting, and they said these guys were in Halifax with Extreme Group, and they were talking about the traffic on the website because we're redesigning the website and we're going to have a new one next year. But we're going to base it on what site's getting traffic. For example, the tab dining didn't get as much traffic as we thought it should, and we think that might be related to people thinking it's fine dining or not related to food. So we're going to change the name of that. But so we've done that through all our site. We've basically done a site audit. And again, what came up was interesting. That one of the guys on the phone, this IT technical guy, said, "Geez, one of the biggest things you have here is the traffic for Roppy Pie." You have to make sure. And I said, "Well, let's make sure we keep that on there, so don't lose that traffic." So anyway, we will see a new website in the hopefully before the end of June. But if not, it'll be very, very shortly after June. So of course, the new website's not going to go anywhere, or the current one, but the new one is going to be a lot better designed. One of the biggest things it's going to have for a change is going to be responsive. So for some of you that might not know, responsive website is a website that responds to the medium that it's on. So one of the things that we've seen negatively about our website traffic is our bounce rate. So bounce rate is someone arrives on your page, and then based on the time when they arrive and then when the time they leave, that's called the bounce rate. Our bounce rate is kind of going up on certain pages, certainly not the Roppy Pie page, but on certain pages it is going up. And we think that's related to the mobile usage, which is also going up. So more people are accessing our website via mobile device, but our website is not designed to be that attractive on a mobile device. So they're saying, "Oh, this doesn't work," and they're leaving. People on the internet, people browsing, as we all know, don't have very much patience, and if something doesn't work, you move on, right? So that's going to address that, this new responsive program, our new responsive design, so in a nutshell. Marketing print, lastly, is very important, and some of the things that we do a lot of time on. We can do a lot of the design and for this in-house, and we do. Some of the things you see here is the Doers and Dreamers. This one here actually is a new yachting guide that the province partnered with the Waterfront Development Corporation in Halifax. They created a yachting, basically a boating guide for the province. Yasta has some, is recognized region in that area. We have a lure piece here. We have some, again, you'll notice a theme for Jonathan here. This picture tells such a great story. It is wide open spaces. It's fresh. It's nature. It's seafood. It's all those things that people who come to Nova Scotia want to have that experience. You can get a lobster dinner certainly in Maine or Boston or New York, but you're going to pay a lot more money than you would pay for it here, and it's certainly not going to be the best quality as well. And you're not going to be able to sit on the seashore and have not another 100 people there waiting for the same thing. So, not that Jonathan wouldn't want 100 people lined up.
I got a call.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. So some of the things we've done here, and I have all these notes, but I'm just really going really quickly. I know we have 8,000 bilingual lure brochures designed, in-house and printed. We've sold and designed ads for the 2015 Doers and Dreamers pages and co-op advertising program for interested stakeholders. We provided the content for the 2015 Doers and Dreamers, which is 275,000 copies printed. 75,000 get mailed to qualified travelers by request. And 70,000 English and 10,000 French guides designed in-house and ad sales sold for Transcontinental for our visitor guide this year. So this year we decided that based on feedback, we would do two versions of visitor guides. We'd do an English one and a French one rather than a bilingual document. Based on the feedback, we felt that it was a better choice to do that because the market, basically, if they were looking for English, they were grabbing English. If they were looking for French, they would want that too. So we're listening to them and responding to it better. Another great shot from the province. What a great story that photo tells. Our visitor guide this year, that's one of the goals, is I'm trying to eliminate text. I'm trying to tell the story a lot better with photos. So. Marketing, branding. Some of the things we're going through right now that some of you might have participated in our branding project, but I don't know if some of you may have gone through interviews or been to the presentation of the research and the background and the brand itself. But YASA is going through that now. This is some of our new look and feel. This is definitely our logo, and you guys will like this, I'm sure. Where the stars align is our tagline, and I could talk for an hour about that, how we came to that. But what's really cool about it is it gives us a real brand standards to build on, and we've kind of been, you know, hitting the target sometimes, and sometimes we haven't with our past brand because we really never came from an honest place when we built that. This one really did come from an honest place. It's based on research, it's based on analysis, it's based on competition, it's based on what the stakeholders and the operators in the region wanted and said about the place. And it's also honest. You know, it's based on a concept of experiencing nature and culture with room to breathe, and then Where the Stars Align is about the story of how all these things can come together when you come to Yarmouth and Acadian shores. You can get off the ferry after having a great trip and a great experience on there. Within 10 minutes, you can be immersed in nature, either on a kayaking tour or a lobster boil on the water side, or you can be tasting beautifully fresh oysters from brackish waters of Eel Lake and doing all those things right within 10 minutes. So it's an honest brand, and it's based not necessarily literally on the whole starlight concept, but it definitely helps that's for sure. Marketing trade shows, and this is the last form of our marketing. So here is a couple of trade shows from this year. So these are partnerships these are the province of Nova Scotia's displays. So what it is when we partner with the province of Nova Scotia, they say either we'll give you booth space for free. So this is what they mean by booth space. This is Charles Robichaud here. They give us space and then allow us to put out our marketing collateral there and then allow us to be part of the Nova Scotia contingent, which is really, really good. We just have to pay the travel to get there or a reduced rate for the booth. So booth space, as you probably all know, in trade shows, especially very large ones, is really expensive. And we get great exposure. So this was, Rick went to AAA Boston, which was in southern New England. So that's in Foxborough Stadium for any of you Patriots fans. I'm not including myself in that list, sorry. Marketing, and then of course we have Boston Globe here, which is in the earlier show. Charles actually got stuck in Boston during the snowstorm for that one, but that's put on by the Boston Globe. And then I went to the Ontario Adventure Show. I don't have any photos of that, but it was very good. And Charles actually just got back yesterday from the Quebec RV show. He thought it was a really, really good show. A lot of people very interested in traveling to Nova Scotia. He did a lot of. He could hardly speak today, actually, so he was very hoarse. He went home halfway. He said, "I can't talk anymore." So it's a lot of that work. So, and these trade shows, of course, are not possible without partnering. So if we don't partner, we can't go. So I tried to get down to New York this year to the New York Times trade show, but I couldn't get a partnership, and we simply couldn't afford the $6,000 or $7,000 it would have cost to get us there. So maybe next year. Really quickly, finishing up here, how am I doing for time? A little over?
Yeah, you're doing good. Keep going.
Okay. How do we measure success? Because again, this is important. So here's how we measure success based on metrics. Okay. So these are room nights sold in 2013. So this is pre-ferry, as we all know, the dark ages of not having a ferry coming into our area. And as you can see, Yarmouth and Acadian shores experienced a 1% growth. Moderate growth around the province, some losses. Cape Breton, 7%. Of course, 7% in Cape Breton is a lot larger than an increase in Yarmouth and Acadian shores. But this is some of the things we use to measure. So room nights is the first one. So this is 2013. And then if we switch to 2014, our room nights sold, we're looking at a large increase between 16 to 17% in Yarmouth and Acadian shores. That's extremely related to New England visitors traveling to our area. It is also related to Bay Ferries. We can't forget that partner. They're a great partner for YASTA, and we do get a lot of traffic from them as well. But it's great to see a positive number. You can see the rest of the province went down a little bit, but still all up, mostly. So that's one of the metrics we use to measure room nights. The next is room nights sold related to group sales. So we have a full-time position in Yarmouth and Acadian shores that's related to group sales. What's group sales? Their job is to sell events and sell events or conventions that will bring visitors to the region, either for business or for sports or pleasure or other things. Some of the successes we've had is, as you know, Nova Scotia Music Week in November is coming. The Canadian Owners and Pilots Association. So you can see that it doesn't really matter to us as long as people are coming into our region and experiencing the area. We're going to get room nights sold. We're going to get people around the area. We're going to get people spending money in our economy. So, Canadian National Old Times Baseball Championship. That's going to be really huge. That's going to really fill all the hotel rooms, and I wouldn't be surprised if it definitely, is the entire region. Nova Scotia Curling Association under 21 qualifier, tie-ins, AGM in May. I hope you can all make that if you can. That's really important, the Tourism Industry Association in Nova Scotia. And Nova Scotia Tourism Innovation Days, I definitely hope you can make that. That's going to be at the Mariner Center. So, thirdly, as you can see, here's some more information on group sales. But basically, over 2,000 room nights sold, over 7 events, with a total investment of approximately $115,000, created an economic impact of well over $2.5 million. So, when we come pitching you some of these events, as we've done in the past, we appreciate your time in considering it. We've put it through what we call a STEAM model, the Sports Tourism Economic Assessment Resource Model, or sorry, Sports Tourism Economic Assessment Model, which basically is an indicator. We put in some metrics, and then basically it pumps out the result and says, okay, if you sell this many rooms, you have this many visitors, and this demographic, you'll probably achieve this much of an economic impact. Music Week there, that's just another picture of that. I hope you all get some time off, because there's usually a lot of late nights with that. So, again, lastly, one of the last things we do to measure success is visitation, and that's through collecting numbers and anecdotal information based on visitation to our attractions. So, one of the biggest attractions in the whole area actually is the Village, and the Village had a banner year last year. I got some numbers from Roger. And 17,000 total visitors. That's up 18% from last year. So that was tremendous. The visitors from the United States was up 87%, and New England was up 207%. So he said, I called him on these numbers, and he said, before I even asked him, he said, they're real numbers, they're true. So he says, I know how awesome they are. So. And that's great for that venue, because that venue needs the traffic to obviously for their budget and other things. And I can't wait to see the post office in there. It's going to be great to see who mails the first letters. Yeah. Although I've been there a couple times when the wind's blowing in the winter, and I wouldn't recommend that. But Roger's great. He won't say no to me. So if I have somebody to come by that needs to get a tour or something like that, he's always there. So so that's really all I have so far. This is a picture here again of our lovely Nova Star, and this is Song of the Paddle, which is Becky Cuttrow's inland kayaking experience. She does experiences here in Lobster Bay as well. So, if there's any questions, please go ahead.
Thank you for your presentation. Anybody have any questions for Neil? I don't see any lights on. Okay. All right, thank you.
I'll run on that. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Neil.
All right, we'll move on to number 4, business arising from the minutes. I think we have some business arising from the minutes. Montague Road, CA Muse.
Yes, I can start, and I think Deputy Clerk Chris has more to add. There was a meeting last Friday with John Sullivan, Chris Broughton, and Miriam Surratt to try to get some more information on the situation on Montague Road. So as you know, we've done some research, and we had not seen any evidence in the Planning and Advisory Committee on any formal request. I know that there were some informal conversations about the possibility of taking over the Montague Road. I was in fact present back in 2006, which was an informal meeting. There was a discussion around it the discussion surrounded the province taking it over initially, and potentially, whether the municipality would take it over. At the time, Gary Saunders was our senior planner, and had indicated that our municipal planning strategy wouldn't allow that at that time. So that was the extent of any informal conversations we had. In terms of formal or anything else to add, I wasn't at the meeting. I would defer to Chris.
I would just add that, ultimately it's council's decision whether or not to take ownership of the road, but there are options for maintenance in the sense of not-for-profits with the residents that live on the road. And we've seen that examples of that in other municipalities, more specifically in Kings County and Lunenburg County. So we're doing research around the type of models that they have around funding the maintenance and the equipment and all that. So we're going to bring that hopefully in 2 weeks, the next council meetings, with some specific detail around what that would look like to help you make a decision. That's all I have to add.
Okay, Councillor Surratt?
Maybe a question either to Alain or Chris. Are you looking, and I would assume you are, at liability? Where do we fit in with liability? If we're looking at options, what does it put on the municipality?
Well, in terms of ownership, I mean, we're not at that point yet whether
No.
we can make that decision. But if we take over ownership, it will, you know, you know, anytime you take over ownership of anything, you've exposed yourself to some level of risk.
Yeah.
The extent of that has not been analyzed in any detail.
Yeah.
Clearly, it would fall under our comprehensive insurance package. So any formal report on the additional risks of taking on a road of this nature, I would ask Ed Nix from Bell and Grant to provide a report on your behalf.
Yes, to check into that, yes.
Yeah, but it would be no different than the risks that we have taken for the Gardner Lane.
Okay.
It would be very similar.
Good.
The only exception being that if you take over the road and you knowingly, so let me back up. That's an engineered design, an engineered constructed road, and we know it.
Yes.
Gardner Lane. The road that we're looking at, Montague, there's some question whether or not that was an engineered design or not. So depending on the design of the road, will also have an impact in some way in terms of what kind of liability you're exposing yourself to.
That's my question.
So you will get a comprehensive report on that as part of your decision before you make a decision. But it's important for you to be thinking about that, so I appreciate the question.
Sure.
Good.
Great. All right, Councillor Muse?
For taking over the road, the request came, like you said, informally from the residents. Now, they had some concerns that if we took it over, that there would be some services
Right.
that would increase there, that they would get different services. We now know that the school buses are not going to go down there. Do we know that?
Unless there are modifications to the road.
To the road,
One of the school boards will not go down.
regardless.
And
Regardless.
I believe that was
Says something.
the CSAP.
CSAP.
which is- Yeah, it was just Tri-County. CSAP would go down.
Okay,
provided-
Tri-County
provided
would
that
not.
That's right. So it's Tri-County that wouldn't allow it, forget it. Because
Right.
it's not owned or managed, or sorry, maintained by the department. of
Department.
Transportation.
Garbage collection was another issue that they had.
Correct.
And that, again, if we have a turnaround built, would they go in that, they would go down that road if there was a place for them to turn around, right? So
Yes.
that would be an issue that would be resolved.
We would-
So there's a few of the services that they were kind of looking to gain by doing that they would. I mean, if we were gonna take over that road and it doesn't increase any of the services that they get, then we're taking liability really for what reason?
Right.
But if it's going to increase the services that they get and make it better for them, then, you know, at least it's a plus. It's something to look at for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
great, thank you. Any other comments or questions?
There's just one other business
Okay,
arising.
yeah, business arising, I guess I was just asking about the
Before.
Montague, yeah.
Yeah.
About the building, huh?
Yes, not a lot to report on the building. The Vanguard asked questions about what our status was, and you've received the response via email. We hope that the Vanguard covers that, because we want for our public to know where we're at. We are still intending on creating a website page when the information is gathered. We're a little slow on gathering the information. We don't have a solid time frame to do this. We should probably create that. We've had some issues with our existing building that I think has taken away a little focus, but nothing too serious that can't get fixed. But anyway, so we're our intention continues to be to create a report that says, here's the estimated cost of retrofit of existing, and here's the approximate cost per square footage of new. We have at the same time engaged a local architect to do a very, very high level work. What we needed was an understanding of what a new building would look like in terms of square footage. So if we're gonna contemplate a new building, we have to have some idea of the size and what our needs are. And so a lot of things are factored into that. I mean, we're not building for 20 years in the future. We're not building to grow 85 employees. It's not really the plan. It is a moderate plan. And right now, I think the work has been drafted very high level, and I think the architect has estimated approximately 7,700 square feet. So 7,700 square feet is certainly not a massive building, and so we're looking at, you know, what the potential would be in terms of design, et cetera. So we're doing that in parallel to the work that we're going to be doing on this building. What we ultimately want to do is make sure that that information is very clear, very easy to understand for council and the community, so that we can effectively make a decision moving forward around that. Okay. So again, lots to say not a lot has changed, but all that to say that, you know, it's important we continue to have this dialogue, and if there are any concerns or questions about the process, or if you have citizens that want to know more, we're happy to share once we have the information gathered.
All right. We'll move on to number 5, which is a financial report. And I do believe that's Marcia.
So if you guys look attached, we have the first 3 pages of the financial report presented at the end of February 2015, showing a surplus of $285,450. If you go on to page 1 in the revenues, under the taxes, the bulk of the surplus being the deed transfer tax, which was budgeted at $85,000, and the actual is at over $106,000, giving us a surplus of almost $29,000. Local government, if you see a negative $18,000, that is the service recovery for building inspections that we had an agreement between the town of Yarmouth and the municipality of Argyle, and they in fact ended up hiring a person to fill that position. The provincial government showing a surplus, that is extra money that we receive from crime prevention for the senior safety position, more than we anticipated. That is the bulk of the revenues. If we go on to page 2 under the expenses, some of these expenses haven't actually come in until March. The government, under government, general government services, some of that, the administration, a lot of that is just a few little things. IT, some of that is the capital equipment side of it, which a lot of those invoices have since come in March. Under protective services, the major surplus there is under property inspection and public works, with the main reason being the vacancy of the facility maintenance position for a while, and the business park road maintenance, with all invoices for plowing that have only come in into March. Garbage collection and disposal, not all of the invoices have been received. However, we are anticipating a surplus there. Dangerous and unsightly, we budgeted high as we were unsure how many properties we needed to clean up. Under healthcare, the major surplus is the grant to Southwest Health for the family residency that has never occurred. Community development, the bulk being the vacancy of the community development officer's position for a while, and the doctor recruitment. Housing and RDA, most of that, if not all of that, is the budgeted amount of $28,000 for economic development study that will remain at 0 at the end of the year. The rest of that, recreation, there is also the 25% winter programmer that was vacant, that position. which was a shared services with the facility maintenance position as well. And some of the programs have come under budget, or they have actually had revenues that have gone against their expenses for recreation services. At the end of I've been looking at the budget amounts in March, and we are anticipating probably a surplus around or under 200,000 at the end of March.
Okay.
Any questions?
Okay. Any questions for Marcia? Councillor Surratt.
So you are believing that it will hold your February 28th from what the surplus that you're looking at does look at 280 or 2?
No.
No.
I'm sorry, I missed that then, okay.
We are anticipating the surplus to be around under 200,000.
Thank you. I thought it was 280 you said. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions for Marcia? Councillor Donaldson.
Will that put us over or under the parameters we're supposed to stay within?
Oh, for the budget? Well, that is a fantastic question. That's a good question. I'm not 100% sure yet.
Did they ever get the whole day-long convention you guys are gonna go to?
They did, I
in
wasn't
Liverpool?
able to attend.
Okay, because they canceled it 2 or 3 times.
About 3 times, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they did have the presentation. I mean, it was nothing that they hadn't already presented, I think, to a lot of the CAOs.
Okay.
But it was mostly for elected officials. Yeah, we might still have a red there, you never know, but
Good.
it'll be close. Yeah, that's a good question. I'll see if I can get that answer before our next meeting.
Yes, yeah, it's just the stupidity of it, that's all.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to number 6, other business and for decision.
Do we need to approve the?
Oh,
Accept.
sorry.
Move to accept.
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 I'd like to make that motion that we accept the financial report as presented.
Moved. Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Contrary? Carried. Move on to 6, other business and for decision, 6A, 2015 curbside collection and transportation of source separated solid waste tender. That's a mouthful. We have an attachment. There was only one bid, so I guess I'll let CAO Muse talk about this.
So we do this every 5 years, and 5 years ago we only had one bidder as well. And 5 years ago when we did the competitive bid, the supplier had increased his price by 3% from the prior year to the current year, and then increased his price by 3% in every year thereafter. That was 5 years ago. This year, his price increased 6% from last year to this year, and the increases are 3% thereafter. So, we didn't consider that to be an unreasonable adjustment based on cost of living and inflation and the cost of wages and et cetera, and we're actually very happy with the service that's being provided. And seeing as we had an ample of choices, we recommend that council by motion approve the 5-year tender for the curbside collection, and that the tender be issued to Wasteco Limited.
Okay.
I'd like to move.
Councillor Donaldson first, I guess.
I'll second his motion, then I got a question.
Okay. So moved by Councillor Muse, seconded by Councillor Donaldson, and go ahead, Councillor Donaldson.
Just for, not the near future, but in the future, we don't seem to be attracting any other bids, and I know initially we had a relatively long-term contract, I believe, because there's a lot of capital costs to get started up, buying trucks and trailers and whatnot. But at some point, do we have to perhaps give warning several years in advance that we will be aggressively going to tenders? Like now, it almost seems like it's a rubber stamp operation every year. But at some point, do we really take a good look at whether we're getting good service for the dollars we're putting at it, or is there collusion out there where one will not bid against the other and stay within their municipal boundaries? Like how do we know this stuff, or can guard against that type of thing?
Well, those are all fantastic questions. I don't know that you could absolutely guard against some of the things that you've asked. I think that one of the ways to defend or to ensure you get the best price is to be aggressive in terms of letting people know. I think 5 years ago we certainly did that. I think this year it was closer to the deadline before it was issued for tender. If you do it that well in advance, then you're actually attracting somebody to potentially get in the business. Then if they knew, for example, if it was issued in August for for April 1st of the subsequent year, and they knew they had to bid, then they could make purchases and invest in the business. So that's a fair question you ask. We didn't do that this year. What we do have contact with the players that exist, right?
Yeah.
Through Waste Check. So we often do have some communication from Gus Green or others at the Waste Check level, and they tell us, what's happening in the industry. But, you don't give people enough time, and you don't actually give the opportunity for somebody new to be in the business. And we haven't in a long time examined the cost of doing it internally. So we did look at that at a very high level 5 years ago, and came to the conclusion quite quickly that we couldn't do it as efficiently as the private sector would.
Okay.
It's a great question, and I think something we should be looking at in the future to start this ball rolling a little earlier. So that's the one defense that you might have.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Donaldson. Councillor Surratt?
I guess my comment or question, I haven't heard any problem with these people, and I don't know if any other councillor has. Has the municipality had any problems with these people? Well,
You always will receive complaints about garbage pickup, particularly when it's not picked up. So I think the challenge that Wasteco or any other business has in this is to strike a balance between picking up garbage that really shouldn't be picked up, that isn't properly sorted. So there's a balance there. You're too picky, you leave bags behind too often, you'll start to get complaints because people don't like to deal with their garbage more than once. Yeah. But on the flip side, if you don't get any complaints, you might actually get a lot more contamination in your cycle. So I think Wasteco's done quite well because we don't get a lot of complaints. But I mean, you always will. Actually, a lot of the garbage complaints that we get are typically around the big garbage days. That there are a lot of complaints about the neighbor putting stuff out too early. But on the flip side, you have pickers that come through and kind of scavenge some things that are perhaps, garbage to one, not necessarily garbage, right? So we have some of that, which is reuse, right? So Waste Check would love that. Because it's reusing.
That's not the hauler's problem either.
No, it's not.
That's not a hauler issue.
We have a bylaw that says you're not supposed to put your garbage out, I think it's beyond a week.
A week, yeah.
It's a week, right? But a lot of people will put it 2 weeks or even more in advance. So, that couch in your front yard 2 weeks in a row is, kind of gets old, right? So, no, we've had good experience with them. And, I mean, if we go back in the past, regardless of how we dealt with this bid, we've always had the one bid. So there's certainly not a lot of players in the business.
Thank you.
I know that. Go ahead.
I guess we don't get too many complaints from the waste park either.
No, and
what they deliver there.
Correct, and
too.
I think and also we get fairly positive comments from Scotia Recycling around the contamination, particularly when Yarmouth County took on its own. It was just 3 units. That they noted a considerable improvement overall, which means that our residents are doing a fairly good job of separating their recycles. So it's not just the garbage, it's the recycles as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Book.
I just want to mention that the only complaint I get in my district is in the summertime. it's their green bin.
Mm.
They complain about that. Some of them have to put their food garbage that goes in the green bin in the freezer, so the maggots don't get it. I mean, I wrap mine and there's still maggots. So that's about the only complaint. I don't know how much it would cost more to pick up maybe the green bin, maybe more than every 2 weeks, maybe every week.
It would be considerable.
Yeah, that's what I figured, but that's the only complaint I'm getting about the garbage pickup.
I freeze mine.
And
Yeah, I know other people do that.
there are other ways to avoid the maggots, and you know, that complaint isn't a complaint of our hauler, it's a complaint of the municipality, because the municipality is choosing to only pay for a bi-weekly pickup. So that's really certainly not the responsibility of the hauler. That complaint belongs, we own that.
Yes.
So you know, I think we could probably do more in terms of educating, like, some of the strategies that we can use during the summer to mitigate that. Not to say that satisfies people necessarily,
It doesn't.
but you know, it's cheaper than the alternative, which is a very expensive pickup. It's a fairly considerable cost. So the pickup per month is, what is it, 20? It's almost 30,000 a month, just for the pickup. So if you're doing double, you can. I don't think it would double to 60, but it would be. You would talk about it. You know, it would be
Even if
closer
it was
to
just the green bin?
Right, it would take less time, but you still get the geographic issue, right?
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be double, I don't think, because that's for everything. So, but you could be talking about, you know, 20, and this is estimating right now, 20,000 a month more, you know, is not an unreasonable estimate. So that's the downside of that decision, right? So we've traditionally not done that, obviously. I think the towns have more success doing that because the pickup geographically is a lot less cumbersome.
It would be just summer months, though.
Right, okay, well, that's a good
You
point.
say
It wouldn't be
June,
for the
July,
whole
and
year.
August.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Because in the winter, there's no maggots. Not this winter
No.
anyway.
Not this winter.
Yeah, that's a good point. It wouldn't be an annual
Yeah.
cost. It would be for 3
Just,
4 months.
a lot of them are always after me for that.
Okay.
That's interesting. Well, we should be documenting that and doing some investigation. I can do some more investigation if you'd like.
Okay, that'd be great.
All right. Councillor Donaldson.
Not to drag things out, but I find it's more so of not keeping your green bin clean, like it goes, it's not that they build up from 2 weeks. There's a mess that carries over from pickup to pickup. We use the little brown bags that you put in your little bin, the liner. We keep our big one immaculately clean, and we never have any problem with maggots. So I think it's more of an educational thing than it is than a pickup thing. And if you're really desperate, a garden spray with a little bit of Javax and water will keep the maggots out. So, I mean, if you want to keep a dirty bin, you just got to spray it.
Okay. Great, thank you.
So we'll do some more investigation then, is what I'm hearing, and then bring that back for information.
All right.
Is that okay?
So I think what we're looking for from council is a motion here.
Motion has been made.
Oh, the motion has been made, that's right. Yeah. So it was motion by Danny Muse, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. I guess we've had some discussions in between, so. All those in favor? Contrary? Carried. My apologies. 6B, tax exemption policy approval. I think you've all seen it, and we've got a more of a moving scale now. So we set it at a $200 for between 0 and 16,500, 150 for between 16,501 and 17,500, and then a tax exemption of 100 between 17,501 to 18,500, and over 18,500 or 18,500 would be 0. So, is there anything else to add other than that? No?
No.
Is there any questions or,
Move that we
okay?
adopt this draft report without exemption.
Okay, moved by Counselor Donaldson,
Second.
seconded by Counselor Book. You've heard the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Carried. Okay, number 7, correspondence and for information. You have the Waste Check Enforcement Officer's report, which you probably read. B is Summit of the Champlain anniversary. I think that one's been deferred or passed on to YASTA or?
Correct.
Okay, so, and then we have the Yarmouth Area Industrial Commission's Board meeting, the minutes of January 19th. I don't know if there's any questions or anything on those. No? Okay, so we'll move on to number 8, financial requests. These are the district community grants. First one is the Kemptville District Volunteer Fire Department. I'm assuming that's Councillor Muse. Would you like to make that a motion?
I would like to make that a motion, please, that we give $500 to the Kemptville District Volunteer Fire Department.
Okay,
Second.
moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Carried. Second one, Hubbard's Point Community Center. And I think that one's also yours.
Yes, that's mine. And I would also like to move that we give $500 to the Hubbard's Point Community Center.
Okay, it's been moved,
Second?
seconded. Seconded by Nicole Albright. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Carried. Number 3, the Abrams River Wharf Association and Councillor Muse, I guess.
Also mine.
Also yours.
Again, I'd like to make the motion that we give $500 to the Abrams River Wharf Association.
So moved by Councillor Muse. Do we have a second there? Seconded by Councillor Albright. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Carried. Okay, number 4, La Cabane Girl Guides, that's one that I brought, and that's $500 for the Girl Guide, La Cabane, I guess, which is a camp they have in Lower West. I guess I can't make a motion,
I
so.
will move that we give the $500 to the Cabane.
Okay,
Guide.
moved by Warden D'Entremont,
Second.
seconded by Councillor Book. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Carried. The West Pubnico Athletic Association, that's for the West Pubnico Ball Field, that's $500, that's one of mine, so I can't make a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Surratt and seconded by Councillor Donaldson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Carried. Next one is East Pubnico Playground, I'm assuming it's Councillor Book.
I still move to give $500 to the Pubnico Playground.
Okay, moved by Councillor Book.
Second.
Questions?
Just a question for either for Councillor
Yes.
Burke
Yeah.
or
Seconded by Councillor Albright, go ahead.
the two of them, they follow the criteria, obviously. Yeah,
I just,
thank
I
you.
received the letters. like-
yeah, that's good, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so you've heard the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Carried. Next one is the East Pubnico Playground, and I assume that's another one
We
of
just
you?
did that.
Oh, okay, sorry. The
Community
East
Center.
Side Community Center,
I still
still yours.
give $500 to the East Side Community Center.
Second.
Right, so it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Carried.
Both of those East Pubnico requests were for repairs to the facility.
Repairs? Yep,
Well, variety of things, including.
yeah, okay. All right, so we've gone through all those. Number 9 is notice of motion. Anybody have notice of motion for upcoming meetings? Nope. Move on to number 10, question period. Do we have any questions from the media? Nope. All right. So we'll have to
Go again.
entertain to go into camera.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary? So